Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into an idea that is so fundamental, it's the bedrock for every single decision we make with data, from a simple spreadsheet all the way to the most advanced AI.
Think about it. Every intelligent choice, whether it was made by an ancient king or a modern algorithm, really starts with this one unspoken question. Before we can analyze anything, before we can predict anything, we have to be absolutely sure that the facts we're starting with are solid.
And that, right there, is the heart of what we're talking about today. Foundational analytics isn't about the flashy charts or the cool predictions. No, it's the quiet, invisible architecture that holds everything else up. It's the work that makes sure our data is dependable, consistent, and, actually true.
So to really get this, we're going to have to go way back, like 5,000 years back, to ancient Mesopotamia, where this whole story literally begins in the mud.
As the first great cities started to grow, the Sumerians ran into a huge problem. You can't run a city on memory alone. Trying to keep track of grain harvests, trades, and labor by word of mouth just wasn't working. It led to constant arguments and chaos because, let's face it, human memory just doesn't scale. Their solution was absolutely ingenious. They started pressing reeds into wet clay tablets to create permanent, structured records. They basically invented an external hard drive. And the person doing this, the scribe, became the world's very first data steward. And to stop people from cheating, they invented the signature seal, kind of like a personal signature stamp, to prove a record was the real deal.
And what's so wild is that you can draw a straight line from their innovations to our tech today. Those clay tablets, that's our structured databases. The cylinder seal, it's our digital signatures and access controls. The big takeaway here is that building trust in data wasn't some new problem we invented with computers. It was the original problem that data was created to solve in the first place.
Okay, now let's hop over to ancient Egypt, because this is where the idea really evolves. For the Egyptians, keeping good records was more than just good business. It was a sacred, moral duty, all tied up with their concept of cosmic order and their goddess of truth, Ma'at.
The Egyptians turned the scribe into a highly respected professional class, and they used papyrus, a total game changer, because it was light and portable. For the first time, information could travel faster than a person. Messing with the records wasn't just a crime, it was an offense against the gods. For them, data governance was moral governance. It shows that the best data systems are built not just on rules, but on a culture that values the truth. So the bottom line is this. Every time we run an audit or a compliance check today, we're doing the exact same thing an Egyptian scribe did thousands of years ago. We're making sure everyone can have confidence that the numbers reflect reality. All right, so we've got permanence and we've got a culture of accuracy. Now, what happens when you try to do this at a massive, empire-wide scale? Well, for that, we have to look at Rome, an empire that ran on information just as much as it ran on its armies.
I love this quote because it just hits the nail on the head. Rome built this incredible information machine to manage everything. To be a citizen of Rome was to be counted, to be recorded, and to be tracked in the government's books.
They were basically practicing what we now call master data management. They used the census to collect data in a standard way, stored it all in a central place, and were obsessed with cross-checking records to make sure everything added up. They created a single source of truth that the whole empire ran on, which is still the holy grail for most big companies today.
But here's the cautionary tale. The fall of Rome wasn't just about armies. It was a data crisis. As the empire started to weaken, so did its data systems. The census fell decades behind. Records got fragmented. Soon the leaders in Rome were making decisions based on information that had nothing to do with what was actually happening out in the provinces. The loss of that shared truth just ate away at the empire from the inside out.
So when you hear people in business complain about data silos, where different departments have different numbers for the same thing, that's the exact same problem Rome had. It's a failure of standardization, a failure to maintain a common language for your data.
After Rome, trust couldn't be guaranteed by a massive empire anymore. It had to be reinvented. And this time, trust was engineered right into the system itself, thanks to the merchants of Renaissance Europe. So get this. In 2019, a book that was printed way back in 1494 sold for $1.2 million. Why? What was in it? Some lost secret? Nope. It was basically an accounting textbook. But it described an idea that would fuel capitalism and change how we think about trust forever.
And that idea was double-entry bookkeeping. It's an algorithm for honesty, and it's so elegant.
For every transaction, you make two entries, a debit and a credit. And the rule is simple. They always have to be equal. If they don't balance, you know immediately that there's a mistake. It makes it mathematically difficult to cheat or be sloppy.
And this was the real revolution. Trust was no longer based on someone's authority or their good character. You didn't need an emperor to tell you the numbers were right. The trust was baked right into the system itself. The math proved the record was honest. That is the core principle behind every reliable database we have today.
So seriously, every time a modern data system runs a reconciliation check or a database enforces a constraint, it's running on that same 500-year-old logic from a Renaissance friar. It's all about self-balancing, self-verifying systems.
Okay, let's bring this all home. From clay tablets to balanced ledgers, we've seen humanity wrestle with this same problem over and over again. And believe it or not, these ancient lessons are more important right now than they have ever been.
Look at this. The technology has changed completely, but the basic challenges? They're identical. A forged seal on a clay tablet is a compromised user account today. A water-damaged scroll is a broken data pipeline. It's the same story, just with new props.
And this is where it becomes absolutely non-negotiable, because now we have AI. And you have to think of AI models as incredibly smart, but also incredibly naive. They believe anything you tell them. They just consume data and treat it as the absolute truth. So if you feed them bad data, they don't question it. They just build these very confident, very precise, and very, very wrong conclusions on top of it.
So if there's one thing you walk away with, it's this. Having more data doesn't automatically make you smarter. Having data you can trust makes you smarter. Every single dashboard, every KPI, every AI model is standing on this unseen foundation of trust that we've been talking about.
So I leave you with this question to chew on. As we all race to build the next big thing with AI and analytics, are we paying enough attention to the ground it's all built on? Is your organization's intelligence truly built on a bedrock of trust, or is it all just standing on sand?